2 words.
Animal. Pig of law. Petscop. I adore Petscop. It's one of my personal favorite unfiction series, practically a pioneer of its genre. There's a reason people say there will never be another Petscop, because to an extent, it's true. Some people have gotten close, but no cigar. I think people's fascination with Petscop is at least in part due to the way the story is told. It's easy to engage with what's available, because it's very ambient. Most of it, you're left with nothing but your own thoughts and what's right in front of you. It gives your brain time to focus to try and piece the story together, and the times you just simply can't. There's a friend waiting for you, in the form of the main character, Paul. You're never fully alone, even when you think you are. Despite this short introduction, the rest of the video isn't on Petscop. I wanted to make this section very brief because I am planning on talking about it sometime in the future. Finish what others can never do. However, this is about something closely connected to the series, and that is through the creator, Tony Domenico. Late last year, Tony released a project into the wild, that project being 3D Workers Island, self-described as a short horror story about a screensaver, told through the means of glorified screenshots, spanning 301 in length. I recommend you check it out for yourself first before you continue watching the rest of this video. As with most things, this is best experienced on your own. I do understand if you are put off by the way this story is presented. It is a bit out there, all things considered. So, I propose a compromise. For sections that would work better without me paraphrasing towards your general direction, I will instead read directly from the source, sort of like an audiobook, but with a little bit of visual feedback to keep you engaged. Now, with introductions out of the way, let's take a read. This video has been made possible by Manscaped.com, the global men's lifestyle brand that is revolutionizing the landscape of men's grooming. If you're looking for a quick way to improve your quality of hygiene, might I recommend Manscaped's latest bundle, the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra, featuring the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra electric trimmer. They've taken grooming precision to a whole new level with their next-gen dual skin-safe blade heads, now accompanied by an upgraded trimmer blade and interchangeable foil blade for enhanced performance. Tough on hair, yet incredibly gentle on the skin. It's a precision powerhouse. And the best part, it's waterproof. Say goodbye to bothersome nose hairs with the next piece of this wonderful kit, the Weed Whacker 2.0 ear and nose hair trimmer. It's waterproof, cordless, and rechargeable. Built with skin-safe technology, this bad boy is designed to tackle those pesky ear and nose hairs with ease. Finish off your routine with the Crop Soother and the Crop Preserver. Your jewels deserve the royal treatment too. When you purchase the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra, you'll receive 2 free gifts. The Boxes 2.0, designed for comfort with the Jewel Pouch, and the Shed 2.0, a easy and safe way to keep your grooming gear organized and ready to roll. Head over to Manscaped.com and get your hands on the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra today. When you use my promo code PAPPO, that's P-A-P-P-O, you'll get 20% off plus international shipping and 2 free gifts. That's 20% off plus free shipping and 2 free gifts with promo code PAPPO, that's P-A-P-P-O, at Manscaped.com. And trust me when I say this, fellas, your balls will thank you. "3D Workers Island" begins with a short prelude. We're back in the late 90s, browsing a website going by the name 3dwi.scr discovery pages. By the looks of the window, the computer we're using seems to be running Windows 98, the then newest Windows operating system. Whoever we may be, we've seemingly taken an interest into whatever this site is fascinated with. As we take a read, wondering, what is 3dwi.scr? 3dwi.scr is a freeware screensaver. The full title is 3D Workers Island, but most of us prefer to use its file name instead, pronounced 3D Whisker. In 3D Workers Island,
6 characters interact on a tiny island, with complex and unpredictable results. Every session tells a different story of the island. Many have found it to be compelling on levels both technical and emotional. T2's Top Software give it a 10 out of 10 score and wrote about its characters. You will find yourself relating to them and understanding them. They may even confound you and anger you at times. The original source of the program is unknown. It was discovered at 3D Screensaver's Palace, one of the many aggregates of screensaver programs appropriated from sources across the internet. The owner of that website, by his own admission, sourced it from a similar screensaver aggregate and could not recall which one. It has not been found. The events that occur in 3D Whisker are not scripted. They unfold dynamically, and every session is different, which means you are guaranteed to see things that none of us have seen before. If you discover anything interesting or important that has not been recorded here or discussed on the forum, feel free to send us an email or create a thread on the forum asking about it. But please do not treat this as a place for tall tales. Check out the overview page for a more detailed introduction. 3D Whisker Discovery Pages was created by me, Pat Lawler, or P. Lawler, and the technical side is largely run by Slinger.
Welcome! This installation program will install 3D Workers Island. Thank you for installing my program. Press the next button to start the installation. You can press the cancel button now if you do not want to install 3D Workers Island at this time. Installation completed. The installation of 3D Workers Island has been successfully completed. If you enjoy 3D Workers Island, please spread the word online. It would be much appreciated. Also consider reading the readme.txt file because it includes a lot of interesting and useful information about the screensaver. Press the finish button to exit this installation. 3D Workers Island Screensaver. 3D Workers Island is an experimental 3D simulation screensaver for PCs with advanced worker simulation. Get to know the characters. There are 6 characters on the island. Their names are Amber, Holland, Pat, Joe, Grace, Rebecca. To find out who's who, reference the character card that appears on startup. Worker Simulation. Workers are an approach to computation. 3D Workers Island takes advantage of resources in the world. Welcome to the world in the computer. This technology is...
This is when we are first introduced to the 2 main ways the story is told. The 3D Whisker Discovery Boards, a forum centered around discussing the eponymous screensaver, and 3D Workers Island itself, shown through a collection of frames. Although this may be how it looks and functions to someone actually using it. Around frame 62 is when we see the first sign of something more sinister hiding beneath the surface, given in the form of a personal anecdote.
I keep hearing the stories about this thing, but so far, it's boring. I don't get it. I want to know what you guys are doing because I'm just starting at the program and watching it and nothing is happening. The people are standing around, sitting around, looking around, walking around. They don't have faces, so I don't know what they're feeling or thinking. I don't know. What's going on here, guys? Which characters are you talking about? You know, some people have worked hard enough in their lives and deserve a rest already. No, but seriously, what do you mean? I see plenty of activity on the island. I do feel a twinge of annoyance when I see a character like Amber sitting around. I want to tell her, hey, you're young. Do something. Actually, it does become entertaining over time. You just have to keep watching. I think you'll be surprised by what you see. But you do have to be kinda open to it. You have to be cool. Be cool, and things will be shown to you. I love this screensaver. It's so fucked up.
Now, when I say sinister, I don't mean something like a jump scare showing up. I mean the words written hold more than what meets the eye. From here on out, we have to take what's written with a grain of salt. Not everyone will experience or see the same things as others, but that doesn't mean people can't just lie about what they find. As of now, we don't know what this program is capable of, if it's capable of anything. We just have to be a little bit careful and tread with caution. Taking a break from the forum, we get to see the main distributor of 3D Workers Island, that being 3D Screensaver's Palace. Right next to two other screensavers, which to my knowledge are also fake, lies our golden goose. Compared to the others that feature longer, more detailed descriptions, 3D Workers Island is very short. I mean, it doesn't necessarily need to be long. This program isn't that difficult to describe. Plain and simple. An island with people walking around on it. As a direct answer to this problem, 3D Whisker Discovery Pages features a more in-depth description of the program.
What is this strange screensaver you have stumbled upon? The only way to really understand 3D Whisker is to try it. It works best without words. But I'll give you my best overview. When you start 3D Workers Island, it will display its 6 characters in a helpful character card that gives you a name for each one. Afterwards, you will be placed in front of an island, and you will mostly remain on that island until you decide to stop the program. The characters are powered by a kind of AI technology that the authors refer to as worker simulation. It is clear from simple observation that this tech should not be taken lightly, but just how advanced this AI is seems to be an ambiguous and controversial question in the community. It is very much a matter of intuition at this point. At the very least, it is good enough to capture the imaginations of many. Whatever is happening under the hood, it is taxing to any PC. The program seems to be fluid in this way. It will use whatever resources are provided to it, but can make do with just about any system that is capable of displaying the 3D graphics. Impressive or not as technology, you will find that this is a program of broad and infinite possibilities. Since retiring last November, I have been keeping 3D Whisker running on the desk in my study, in my bedroom, my living room, my kitchen, and my basement, all running around the clock as I do my household tasks and live my life. What I see on each of these PCs throughout the day is still continuously fresh and novel to me. It makes my home into a very pleasant little world. You will notice that the island is quiet. 3D Whisker does not play audio, unlike what you may find in the After Dark products and similar entertainment-based programs, but very much in line with the default package of screensavers in the Windows operating system, such as 3D Maze and Mystify Your Mind. The significance of this silence is considerable. It allows the island to disappear. Despite its heft, it's also light. There's a sense of ghostly transience, that none of it is really happening, and it can all vanish with the flick of a mouse.
This next section is very important in understanding this story, so I'll just let it play out.
This happened back in October. In detention, they had me sit in the computer lab where I ostensibly wasn't allowed to play on the computers. Lol. But my computer lab teacher was in there upgrading Office, and I showed him 3DWI and explained it to him. I swear, he was like, enchanted by it. He wanted to install it on all the computers, so we installed it on all the computers together while eating donut holes. We had some problems, and I had to call my sweet and angelic mommy to tell her why I was still at school, but we eventually got it working after 7 p.m. We turned off the lights and it started going on every computer in the room. It was a powerful experience. Just all these different things happening on the island all around us, on glowing screens, in the dark and silent computer lab at night. Way better than 3D pipes. It felt like this was the way 3DWI was meant to be experienced. I recommend putting this thing on as many screens as you possibly can.
What were you in detention for?
Lol, dress code violations mainly. I also invented a fake skin disease called Cuddalakune, and started incorporating it into some of my written assignments in English and history, even when it had nothing to do with anything.
Okay, I'll bite. Tell me about Cuddalakune.
I'm glad you asked. Cuddalakune, skin disease with 4 stages. Stage 0, redness and sensitivity. Stage 1, skin gaps, holes or gaps of various sizes exposing dermis. Stage 2, skin islands, widespread loss of epidermis, leaving only a number of skin islands of various sizes. Stage 3, recession of the islands, leading to complete loss of epidermis. Early stages can be treated and reversed, but stage 3 is irreversible. Stages 1, 2, and 3 are consistently rated 10 on the 1 to 10 pain scale.
Who's your favorite character?
Amber. No question, Amber.
Amber's the answer.
If I had to choose a favorite, tough one. Just kidding, it's Amber. Fuck everyone else. I'm offended that the question is even being posed, but I understand. You don't know any better. You're better off this way.
I know we're not supposed to talk about those topics here, but we can at least be honest when it comes to questions like this. I'm not gonna pretend my favorite character is Holland or Grace or somebody else just so things can stay clean on this forum.
Can somebody fill me in on the joke here? What's wrong with the other characters? Amber would be a good choice and may have been mine, but I am sometimes put off by her lazy tendencies. Naturally, I would choose Pat, since by coincidence we share a name. And I believe the 2 children are hers. Another coincidence, as I also have 2 daughters. However, I cannot help but feel attracted to Rebecca, with her eye-catching red hair and shoes. It is a difficult question. Amber, motherfucker.
Page 153 features a new website, titled Computer Philosophy 1, Windows, a piece of writing going over how our various technologies are used as a window into a fictional reality, and the ramifications of such, albeit with very broken English. There are of windows everywhere we see them, and anyone could be looking in at you. That's a part of what makes them scary. But windows are even scarier when you are the one who looks in them, because of when you never know what you'll see in them. Remember the enthusiasm in a market for a window into reality in 1996, as the Nintendo 64 broke, once lore Project Reality? Of course, the TV screen is really a window into fiction and not reality. The only real window of reality is the one we looked into as a baby and still cannot turn from. What called the common story theme of falling into asphalt imagery? We bring the inside into the outside, and the outside is the place we are stuck looking. This is the only meaning of I'm trapped in the TV. When we find out that reality is a thing we look into. But what does that mean? Where are we? What happens when something bad you find responsible for is there, and you do nothing to stop it because it looks through a window and is not real? I'm trapped in here, and I may never return home. What do we mean?
Wow, tell me more about that.
So, I was with my cousin last week for Thanksgiving. Since last year, they live a 3 hours drive away. It got late, and he took me down a dark trail and scared the piss out of me, talking about ghosts and murderers. In a quiet moment, I thought I might change the subject, so I started talking about 3DWI, apropos of nothing. Turns out, he knew about it, which caught me off guard. And he carried on, with the exact same tone, as when he was talking about torture killers a moment earlier, but now talking about 3DWI. As if telling me about a conspiracy or something, he went on about the girl in the pink shirt, and gave me this long list of ominous things to pay attention to, in the screensaver.
Oh, he's one of the Amber shitheads. Those people basically took down that old Discovery Pages website a couple years ago. Ruined a good thing.
Yeah. Anyway, when we got back, we watched 3DWI together until 2 a.m. on the slowest, crappiest computer in the world. We watched until suddenly the computer froze completely. But, he told me it wasn't really frozen, that actually 3DWI does that on purpose, in order to hide things that are happening. I don't know, he was making things up on the spot, but I think they still meant something to him.
We have made it to one of the last times the forum will be used. This also marks the first sign of danger, where the cutesy exterior is cracked, to reveal a gooey, distorted home. It's as they say, curiosity killed the cat.
Okay, so I almost don't want to ask this at all, but I keep hearing certain implications about the screensaver that I don't want to repeat here, but you probably know what I'm talking about. I think maybe it's supposed to be a joke, but if so, I don't find it funny at all. Can somebody give me some more info about this? Turn back now. Don't go any further. For your own peace of mind, stop this line of inquiry now and do something else. Don't become another one of us freaks.
Seriously, I wish I could go back to enjoying the screensaver normally. I want to be a normal person again. Please, God, let me forget.
There are links that can be provided. If you really want them, I can send them to your email. Just let me know. I'm no coward. Here's the link. Go ahead. Enjoy. Yeah, that's not gonna last very long.
But satisfaction brought it back.
The windows of my living room, covering the walls with wide views of my front and backyards, filled the room with light during the day and an air of vulnerability during the night. My brother crashes here. He sleeps on the couch against the back windows. Sometimes we sit together, looking out those windows, and tell stories about the house beyond my backyard. A man lives in that house with his 2 sons. The curtains are closed, and we imagine our own childhood replaying itself behind them. It's just a stupid game, really, making up stories about the neighbor. I think of it as a way to bond over past experiences. Somehow we get emotional about it anyway, but not emotional enough to do anything. Because of course it's a stupid game. There's no point in worrying about those children based on feelings and intuition alone. We both find that our dreams become more vivid with time. Lately we've grown exhausted of that game, but recently I downloaded 3D Workers Island. It plays on a PC in the corner of my living room. You should check out this program. It's a screensaver, which means it only starts when you aren't using your computer. But when it starts, you're on an island. There are people around, but they don't do much. Not when they're outside, anyway. Naturally, you wonder what they might be doing inside the windowless red house in the background. That's when things start to go wrong, when you start wondering that. And now, we begin another game. As in life, concern begets more concern. The reality is always worse than you think it is. No matter how much you learn, it's always worse. And the only escape is to stop asking, to stop digging, to stop learning. This is your chance to stop. The preferred resource for all things 3D Workers Island is called 3D Whisker Discovery Pages, created and maintained by Pat Lawler. It covers everything a reasonable person would want to know. You should browse her website first if you haven't already, because it's quite good. But Pat Lawler doesn't see what we see, or chooses not to. I have created a different kind of resource. Here I take your sightings and I display them for the benefit of others. Together we play this game the way it's meant to be played. Welcome to my website, Inside 3D Whisker. Beyond here are themes of violent abuse and torture. Continue if you can handle that.
For the rest of this story, we will be spending most of our time on another website, Inside 3D Whisker. The discovery pages are nothing more than cliff notes at this point.
I removed your link because it breaks the following rule. Rule 5. Do not post links to the website. You know the one. It is nothing more than a collection of perverted creative writing prompts. I would not usually be so strict about something like this, but clearly there are too many here who cannot stay reasonable and sane while discussing the content of this particular website. So I must make the hard decision of banning it. You can guess what I think about this topic, but let me try to explain the phenomenon occurring here. The fact is, many internet users are children and young adults, and children like to play games. What this means is, you will occasionally find yourself unknowingly pulled into the games played by children. On the website, you will primarily find stories told by kids to scare other kids. You will also find so-called analysis of these stories that treats them as true fact, to give them legitimacy. But there is no evidence to be found there. I hope I have cleared things up for you, buddy. Shut up, Pat. Anyway, more links. Members.aol.com/John Saraway. Good info about John Saraway. geocities.com/welcome to my world. Stories of reality. Thank you, P. Lawler. Well said. Those violent stories are cheesy and over the top. Blood and guts. Believe me, I've been watching this program for so long, I would have seen such things by now. If the screensaver won't open up to you, maybe you need to look within yourself to find the problem. You'd love to think it's all just bloody, screaming children. Long before I began seeing the violent shit, I saw the way Amber was treated by the other islanders. I saw her tiredness. I saw her subtle messages. But you just point at the bleeding children and laugh. Alright then. Why is it always Amber who gets abused and killed in these made-up scenarios? Don't get why this community has an obsession with torturing her specifically. You're all freaks and sociopaths is my best guess. Maybe I should create my own section for dealing with 3D Whisker hoaxes. Snopes.com has a good system for these. I would give every one of these stories the red sphere of falseness. False, false, false. Jesus fucking Christ, that website. The screenshots and pictures on there are insane. Some of them are obviously straight out of Photoshop. Others I don't know. They're all low-quality JPEGs for what it's worth. Makes it easy to hide flaws. Welcome to Inside 3D Whisker. Here you'll find the content missing from P. Lawler's 3D Whisker discovery pages. Her website should be your source of general information about the screensaver, but come back here when you're done. Pick a category on the left and browse your collection of user-submitted sightings. Download 3D Whisker and let us know what you find by submitting a sighting. Thanks for visiting and telling us your stories. April 25th, 1999. I'm receiving so many emails about the Sam Ferraro business. Though there's not much contention on whether the screenshot of Amber's rare black shirt is real, there's a lot of disagreement about whether the picture on her shirt is really of Sam Ferraro, since it doesn't exactly match any of the known publicly released photos of him. I've expanded the section to include some of your comments. On the subject of photos, I've removed a user-submitted photo from PJR Pin, at the request of its original owner. I'm planning on overhauling the categories soon. More details to come. April 24th, 1999. Added a link to Grace's Guilt. Great quote. Lucky for that girl, her story became an urban legend. Most people don't believe it really happened, even if they are fascinated anyway. A perfect disappearing act. The real transforming into fiction. Now she lives her disgraceful retirement in the remote world of a cartoon. But reality will haunt her conscience forever. Added some more user submissions to worker degeneration. PJR Pin. The PJR Pin is one of 3D Whisker's first popular sightings. The letters PJR stand for Pat, Joe, and Rebecca, 3 characters on the island. When these 3 adults approach Amber in the following formation, facing her, it's called a PJR Pin. Amber is in the center of the formation. The PJR Pin isn't complete unless all 3 adults are close enough to prevent Amber from moving. Or in other words, to pin her in place. This is a very strict and specific requirement that is not met often. Formations in this particular shape are uncommon between any 4 characters. When they do form, they are spontaneous and brief. They'll usually reorganize themselves in the more stable circles, or rather diamonds, like this. Why is the PJR Pin significant? According to the stories, it triggers the following sequence of events. All 4 characters disappear instantaneously. The world is replaced by darkness. In that darkness appears a photograph of a child in clothes that resemble Amber's pink stripes. She is sometimes injured, sometimes not. An audio clip of a young woman's scream, or multiple screams, play from the speakers. It's usually interpreted as Amber's voice, but sometimes the voice of an off-camera witness. The world reappears. Pat, Joe, Rebecca, and Amber reappear at the front door of the house, one by one. Amber is the last to appear. No evidence of the event remains. Most accounts miss the first 3 steps in the sequence. It's only when they hear the screams that they start paying attention to what's happening on the screen. 3D Whisker doesn't officially play audio, but many stories report sounds. They usually describe very loud or very quiet sounds, like screams or whispers with little in between. We have a page just for Whisper-related sightings, most involving Amber's pleas for help. Much pride is taken in the skill of recognizing these whispers as quickly as possible, since they often precede other events for which screenshots are desirable. No whispers precede the PJR pin, unfortunately. Photographs are also a common theme in these sightings. 3D Whisker appears to have a heavy preoccupation with a real world, and in particular with real human bodies, from living and healthy to mangled or emaciated or dead. In this case, even when Amber doesn't display any physical injuries, her transformation into a human body is often interpreted as an act of violence itself. In general, any movement between fiction and reality, in either direction, is treated with an undertone of terror. Descriptions of the photo vary. It may be that people are seeing the same photo and remembering it differently. It's not hard to believe that a disturbing and sudden scream is shocking people into seeing or remembering injuries that aren't there. But it's also possible that 3D Whisker is displaying different photos of the same girl at varying levels of injury, perhaps dependent on the context of the simulation, as Amber's plight has been shown to progress in severity over time. Who is the girl in the picture? Until we have a legitimate screenshot, we have little to go on, and this one has proven challenging to capture. G key.
It's getting worse and worse. The more I watch, the more I notice, the more I understand, the more bold it becomes with the things it shows me. Every time I come to some new revelation, the screensaver shows me more. But most other people don't see these things, and if I have someone in the room with me, they don't happen.
Are you telling me P. Lawler, with the 10 billion hours she's been watching 3DWI, hasn't seen any of these things? Getting dangerous in here, lol.
Pat Lore is a criminal. I have family who used to live down the street from her. Nobody in their right mind would trust Pat Lore. Pat Lore shouldn't be allowed to run a 3D Works Island fan website. She should be in prison. Anyone who wants details is free to message me. I'm GoodKid85 on AIM.
Damn it, good kid! And he's banned. That was fast. P. Lawler is always online. She reads every post the second you submit it. You cannot evade her. Worker degeneration is something akin to injury or damage. This damage is associated with an active entity, which 3D Whisker calls a worker, hence the name of this page. It's not clear to me how this term came about. It wasn't invented by 3D Whisker's authors, yet it implies a bit of knowledge about the screensaver's internals, that the injury is associated in some fundamental way with the underlying worker concept. This is especially strange since the only documented cases of worker degeneration are tied to one character, that being Amber. Therefore, it seems premature to generalize this term to such an extent, but I'll use the established name. If you've ever seen a red amber, you've seen worker degeneration. This is an early stage. After this comes compression, and the result looks like this. This red ball is seemingly inert. It doesn't move or interact with anything. But yes, the red ball is amber. This state has been interpreted as representing dehydration, malnutrition, and or mutilation, and the many photographic sightings seem to confirm all of these interpretations equally. But most of all, it's become associated with small, muffled screaming, and therefore with pain. It doesn't take long for this red ball to start shrinking and quieting down, until sooner or later it can't be seen or heard anymore. Amber will usually respawn from the house at some time after compression, even while the red ball is still visible. The program will eventually continue as usual. Falling into asphalt tells us a story. Letting the screensaver go longer periods has unlocked something, and now I'm seeing all sorts of funny shit like a red amber. She goes in the house, comes out redder. Goes behind the house, comes back redder. Comes back redder again. Comes back weird and slow. Crawls around until pop! She's just a ball on the ground that everyone ignores, and that's that. Nathan Manfield kept the screensaver running all day, and writes, I went away for 8 hours, and when I got back, there was a bunch of red spheres scattered around and making noise. Altogether, it sounded like a chorus of dissonant humming. Now I'm wondering just how long my dog had to listen to that shit. This one is from Thomas. How many of them are sitting at the bottom of the ocean? I just can't help but feel hopeless about everything. Nobody will ever help me, and I'll never help myself. I'm too afraid even to reach out. I'm not even writing this right now. This message exists only in my head. This whole website exists only in my head. 3D Workers Island? What is this? Would I really put this online? Would I really give anyone the slightest glimpse into my world? This is fake. This is all fake. And nobody will ever see it. To Thomas, I hear you, and I understand. Suffering in silence is such hard work.
Recession of the islands. Workers Island. A thing. I totally know where to go.